Hello, and welcome to the Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and the Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who have had an association with the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area. Kosh listeners, how are we doing today? It is a wonderful day, actually, for it to be November, and today was the day that we were supposed to set clocks back, or forward. And whatever it was, we were supposed to set the clocks up, right? And so, it's good. It feels good in the air. It's sunny, and I'll take it. And it's not that false sun where it looks beautiful and then it's like -3. No, we got legit, maybe 50s. Is it 50s? I don't know. It's somewhere in there, and it feels fabulous. And I'm just going to celebrate it in the month of November because we never know if we're going to get another one. But I am secretly hoping that we might just get one more secret 60, low 70-degree day that might just creep up on us. I know. I'm born and raised Wisconsin. I realize it. But nonetheless, don't hate on a brother's hope. Let this brother hope for good weather. I'm about that life. That's what's going on. All right. So I think Kosh listeners, you know what I'm about to say. I do not know how I keep getting these amazing, amazing guests. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And this week is absolutely no different. This week's guest, here we go. This week's guest is Eden Weller. Hey, Eden, what's going on?
How's it going, Timber? Fall back. You had it right. Fall back, spring ahead is how I remember it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Fall is back.
You fall back.
And spring is ahead.
That's it.
Okay. I've heard people think about it, but until you just said it right now, I did not make the correlation about how that rolls.
Every time the clocks move, I have to remember that. It's fall and we fall back. We set it back an hour.
Okay. That's what's up. And how are you feeling with the fall back?
It's I don't love it because that means the days are shorter. That means it's going to be 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and it's going to be dark.
Yep. Facts.
It is a nice day for it to happen. And it's been a nice weekend with the sunshine.
Right.
So yeah, it's also the start of winter. So the darkness and the cold affects me.
I'm getting mentally ready for it though.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm hoping that secretly, I don't know, that somebody told me the Farmer's Almanac. Do people still read those? Do people still believe in those? I'm just
people
saying.
quote them, and I had read that it's going to be a cold winter, but I expect the coldest, nastiest winter.
Now, see, somebody told me it was supposed to be a not so snowy winter.
Oh, okay.
Which that could be the same.
Yeah, right. If it's cold and if it's not really, as snowy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because usually if it's below 20, it's usually not snowing. It's just cold.
Yeah. Climate change and who knows and the uncertainties and I've never looked to see if the Farmer's Almanac is accurate.
I don't know. But it's a thing. People believe in it. I mean, where does the Farmer's Almanac get this assumption from? Because, I believe people buy these things, right? Well, maybe not anymore. Do they still sell them?
Yeah. So where I see it is on social. I mean, they still quote them. It's still, is it a thing? Is it at Walgreens available? I think probably. No, I've never bought one.
I was going to say Fleet Farm.
Yeah.
Fleet Farm is where I've legitimately seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, that makes sense.
Now, Walgreens, I don't know about that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a second. So, all right, you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So, Eden, what is your connection to the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities area?
Yeah. So I am a UW Oshkosh alum.
Ooh, Titan.
2001, 2005, undergrad in marketing and economics from the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh. So moved there, have been in the Valley since. Live in Neenah now. Vanina, and went back to UW Oshkosh for a master's degree. Connected to the community, I officiate youth basketball. And there is a high school rec league that plays at the rec center in Oshkosh, and I've been doing that for 15 years. So Saturday mornings, I get to come into Oshkosh and hang out and officiate and referee a pretty cool youth basketball league. And then I facilitate. I'm a consultant in the Valley, in the greater Oshkosh area, Appleton, Green Bay, kind of the region there. So still connected to the community in the work that I do today.
Do you ball? All I can think about was, I wonder if he balls.
I have played. I don't play anymore.
Okay.
Knee injury has stopped me from playing competitively.
Okay.
I used to play a lot of basketball.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I know. I get that point in life. I'm against all physical activity because of joints, hips, knees, elbows, all of that, wrists. Like, yeah, I've hit that age where I want to keep them functional.
Yeah. I try to keep my stuff on the ground. I do. All right.
And facts. That's big fat facts. All right. Yeah, so the league here, the rec league here in Oshkosh, I think that's, from what I remember back in the day, not that I've ever played in it, but I do know a little something about it. Like, that's a pretty competitive rec league.
Yeah, the men's rec league they have some good ballers there. I don't do men's anymore. They have a youth league, which is what I do on Saturdays. So that is for high school kids that don't make their team at the high school have a chance to play. And she has 12 or 16 teams usually that play all day at the rec center, and those kids are playing for fun. Those kids are playing sport for the right reason, to be teammates. So that's what I enjoy about that particular league. The men's league, I mean, is it competitive? Yeah. It is men's rec basketball.
Hey, people are still trying to hold on to the glory.
Oh, for sure. For sure they are.
Yeah. And, I'm just saying, I didn't see them. I won't play with them, but I didn't see them. All right. You ready to jump into the first segment?
Let's do it.
All right. The first segment is called What in the World is Going On With? That's where you start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what is on your mind.
Yeah. What in the world is going on with competitive slapping, power slap? Have you seen any of that?
Bruh. Yes.
That is, I think, made for the TikTok generation, but they turned it into a competitive sport.
Yeah, I've watched, here's the funny thing. I don't have TikTok, but I think I've watched TikToks of different rounds of it because UFC is associated with it now.
Right.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. So they commissioned it, and then the person that did it apologized and said that was a mistake. And they've gotten some pushback on it as, should this be a competitive sport? Why are we highlighting it? And it's catchy, and I get why they did it, because people watch it, because people want to see it. So for those not familiar, it is like arm wrestling, where you're right against your partner, and you are 3 or 4 or 5 rounds of slapping, one slap, and then a reaction. And if you fall, you're done. Otherwise, you get to slap back. I don't know. I see both sides of it. I see why they did it. I see why people watch. And I'd say, is there a better way that we can garner people's attention?
I like it. I'm just going to go ahead and say I like it. And I'll tell you why I like it. Because, see, I was trying to actually think, is there a reason not to like it?
Yeah.
Right? But here's the thing. It fits all... To me, it fits all of the other qualifications of other combat sports. And, I've grown up watching boxing. I love Mike Tyson, Larry Holmes, stuff like that. I've watched my fair share of UFC fights throughout the time. I loved Anderson Silva. He was my favorite. And then this just goes real fast. So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, you still have to train for it, right?
You should. You better.
There's a training element to it, right? There's technique to it. It would behoove you to work out and get prepared for it. There's the mental toughness to be able to do it. I think everything that fits in other combat sports falls into, I don't know what's the official term.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have it either. I'm with you. I hear you. I think the reason not to do it is because kids see it and then they do it in their basement. And it's without what you just described, training and technique and medical around it. Mm-hmm. It's unsafe, and it's a good way to concuss a buddy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But just to play devil's advocate,
Please.
We've been watching wrestling forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as somebody who has grown up, like, I don't know, I want to say almost my entire life watching some wrestling. I don't watch any right now, but I mean, I grew up back in the day with Crusher and Baron Von Raschke. If y'all really know wrestling, that's that real wrestling that was in Milwaukee and the Mecca. And then, you know, I went through the initial WWF phase, Junkyard Dog and all of them. And then, you know, you go into the Rock and Stone Cold phase. And like, look, if kids are going to try anything,
Yeah.
they're going to try to rock bottom somebody off the dresser top in their bedroom. You know, I can't tell you how many Stone Cold stutters people done did probably on concrete in places that they shouldn't be doing stuff like this. Right. I don't know if it's any more unsafe than any of these other things. That's that is my argument. And Kosh, listen, I don't want to think you think I'm justifying this, because I'm not justifying it. I'm just pointing out where my mind went first.
Yep. I think that's fair. I like it. I see both sides of it.
All right.
I do. I do see both sides of it. Yeah.
All right. You're not going to secretly be trying to join this sport.
And you and I are not going to do that at close.
No, absolutely not. Eating you a big dude, I don't want those problems. You think, I ain't doing that. No, look, I ain't doing none of the combat sports.
Right.
Look, I'm smart enough to, I'm a smart dude. I'm not gonna be. I'm not into the putting hands on people if that ain't about that life.
And you can appreciate it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, just for what it is. Yeah. You know. Now I'm gonna pay more attention to it. I haven't seen it in a while. It was on my timeline somewhere. It must have got caught up in my analytics because I've stopped to pause to watch it a little too long. But it hasn't been around in a while.
Yeah, and it's easy, right? It's a flip. It's 15 seconds. It's
Right.
a person getting knocked out, so you don't have to spend a ton of time to it, I think, to see it or to know it.
Oh, I like it when they actually don't. Like
Yeah.
the people that just sit there and take it, and then they look you in your eye, and then they kind of twitch their neck a little bit, and then they prep.
Look, yes, and say now I get it.
Yeah, that's on some. That's some of the hardest stuff I've ever seen. That's some real stuff. Okay. My what in the world is going on with is, what in the world is going on with half price or really cheap candy after Halloween?
Bruh.
All right. So here's my thing. I'm not complaining about it, other than my wife going to Walgreens and coming back with 32 bags of chocolate, right? That's the problem. That's the problem with this. Like, you wait and knows and is waiting for that opportunity for after Halloween. As a matter of fact, I feel like it's her chocolate prep sport.
Yeah.
Like she starts talking to me about it a couple of weeks before Halloween is done, and she's like, "Hey, candy's gonna go on sale after Halloween." Yes, baby, every year. But there's a glimmer in her eye, and I have not been reading this glimmer right. Like, I get it, and I'm all for it. I'd like a couple of these multi-bag, the big bags of multiple different types of chocolate. I like my Reese cups. I like peanut M&Ms. I'm with that, and let's get some bite size. I'll get down with it, but not this year.
Yeah,
this year she went for it, and Walgreens, I'm going to curse you a little bit, because why did you make them so cheap? Because then she tried to buy them all. And I'm just like, that ain't right. So now I've got a basement full of Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know y'all are saying these are first world problems, right? These are first world problems. But here's the other problem with it. If I've got a basement full of candy, what's got to happen?
It's got to go somewhere.
We got to eat the candy.
Yep.
I'm not going, look, I'm that dude. You know, if it's in the house, I don't like to waste. I'm not going to let the candy go to waste. So now I'm going to end up eating all this candy.
Yeah, I feel you. We paid full price for ours.
Bruh.
And my kids, a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old at home, brought back a lot. They did some work. I think 15 pounds is what we weighed my son's pillowcase on.
Oh, yeah,
15 pounds
weighted
of candy. Yeah,
Oh.
I mean it was a nearly full pillowcase.
Bruh.
And he took a pillowcase. I'm going to tell you right now, that's how you know who's serious.
Yeah.
Like when you're watching trick or treaters, those with pillowcases, they got a plan.
Yeah.
Like they're going hard. Like they're going to literally tackle every house that they can tackle. Like it's tactical. They probably secretly got walkie-talkies going on and stuff. Like they're radioing each other from different streets. Oh, here's the king size candy bars are over here on 37th. Come on over.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm believing that.
So there's a ton of candy in the house, and I'm eating more candy in the last week than I ever do because it's available. What you talked about.
See, same philosophy. Not quite the same, but because I believe that even though they may have had this pillowcase of candy, what I feel like my wife brought home from the after candy sale is multiple pillowcases. Like she went ham.
And she's got a sweet tooth. She loves chocolate. Is it?
It's phases.
Yeah. It's
phases. And actually, I think she likes to feed other people chocolate more than she likes to eat chocolate herself right now. Yeah. So now it's like about other folks.
Yeah.
Because she didn't talk about she was going to eat this candy. She was like, I got some candy because I know you need some candy for work, right? And I do. I got a candy dish at work, and then I see the bags that she bought, and I'm like, how many jobs you think I got?
Bruh.
I'm just saying. Okay. We're on to the next segment. Next segment is our news segment. We're trying this out. We're trying to figure this out. The Kosh has passed 100 episodes, and so what we're trying to do is we're always trying to keep it fresh, and I'm hoping, and I'd be eager to hear from you, Kosh listeners, how you like this segment. This segment is called 21 Questions. Not that we're asking 21 questions, but, I thought it was a good name. And we're just going to ask some questions that are a little more in depth. All right? Eden, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What are you grateful for?
Family. Kids for sure. Healthy kids. And how big of an influence they have been on me being able to be a father. Having the privilege of being a father. Being grateful for that. I think oftentimes it's easy to fall into these are all of the responsibilities or adulting is hard. But what I try to do regularly is it's a privilege to be able to wake up my kids and get them ready for school, get them off to school, pick them up for school. There's a lot of energy that I get from being a father. So that's what stands out first when I think about what I'm grateful for.
What motivates you?
Yeah, I think it's around impact for me. I think it's a realization that we only have so much time on this earth. You only get one dance. And to use that time and energy in a way that you can achieve impact so that you can leave the world in a better place, so that you can contribute to meaningful things that are happening in the community.
What grounds you?
Yeah, I think a few here when I think about this. My partner is a social worker. So I think just an understanding of what's happening on the front line, a realization of what's happening on the front line in our community is grounding. I sub occasionally as an educational assistant in the Neenah School District. So I'm in elementary schools and middle schools on a fairly consistent basis, along with some volunteering work I do at my daughter's school. So I think seeing that, seeing what happens today, connecting with youth, understanding challenges from different perspectives, kids and teachers' perspective. And then I do some work for CASA of the Fox Cities as a CASA and working to understand the youth that are involved in the child welfare system, in the foster system, and how the court system works. So that experience, I think, that combination of experiences keeps me grounded.
What does success look like to you?
It's a good question. I like that question. It's changed, and it depends, and it's complex for me. The first part of my career, I spent thinking about success as salary and job title, and climbing that corporate ladder. And recently, COVID pandemic, a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, have defined success differently, and think about things like self-care, and think about things like family, and think about things like liking what I do, and thinking about things like where my energy is. A broader definition of what success looks like, and then also kind of thinking about that it depends. Success can look differently in different spaces. So even thinking about what success looks like from a relationship, from a project standpoint, from a collaboration, if you can align on what that looks like and have that conversation about what success looks like as part of the project plan, as part of that relationship, because I think it ebbs and flows and it evolves and it can look differently depending on who you're working with, what you're working on, and where you're at in that relationship and that collaboration.
What irritates you?
Yeah, I think when people don't listen, I think when people ask a question, but then don't hold space for response. So I guide and facilitate like a listen to understand approach, not listen to respond or ask a question, because then you can say what you wanted to say about it. And I see it regularly, and I think listening is an underrated skill, and I see it regularly and consistently. And we talk about like holding space for others and helping other people be seen. And I think we need to teach or develop or practice and help people practice what true listening looks like.
What scares you?
It's a lot. Being asked to talk about what scares me, Timber. That the question is scary a little bit. So I think undiagnosed mental illness scares me. I think folks that are living with it and dealing with it, and that coupled maybe with the loneliness or isolation epidemic scares me. Just kind of thinking about that as a broader challenge. Mental health challenges, people dealing with mental health challenges that don't necessarily have the support or don't feel like they have the support that they could use. What
recharges your soul?
even on a journey of self-care in the last few years, and one of the things that I do regularly is the steam room and the sauna. So like tangibly, physically recharging my soul, kind of sweating that out, drinking a bunch of water, and getting ready and prepared mentally and physically for the day. That's how I would answer that one.
All right, one more question, and it's a question I didn't put on the list, but I like this question because I just think it's so relevant. And how do you define love?
Yeah, I think it's the deepest human emotion and feeling that we have. And for me, it's difficult to put words around it. It's that feeling. It's you know it when you're in a space where you can feel it. You feel seen, you feel understood, you know that you're supported, and you can be vulnerable in that space where love is present. When it is present, you can be candid and honest about mistakes that you've made or what you're feeling. And you know that you have a human on the other side of it that isn't going to judge or leave or not support and help you through it. That's how I think about that.
Thank you. All right, next segment. Our next segment is word association, and word association. I'm going to say some words, and you tell me what comes to your mind. The first word. This is always our first word. It's our unifying word. It's the word that brings us all together, and that is food.
Yeah. I'm a chicken wing guy. So that's what comes to mind when I think about that. My son and I will regularly go out and do some work on some chicken wings. We have a place in Neenah that we like, ICU. Buffalo Wild Wings still holds up in our house. And then pizza as well. So if I get two, it's chicken wings and it's pizza. Cranky Pat's in Neenah has a lunch buffet that when I think about places that I want to go, along with salad and soup. So you're going to get your fill there. Those are the two things that I think about when I think about food.
Oh man, you hit home with me with Cranky Pat's. You know, that was my church here in the Kosh.
Yeah.
Like I miss that place all the time.
Yeah.
Big shout out to my Cranky Pat's family here in the Kosh. I wish we could get that back.
Yeah.
Because it was just a great group of people, and they had good wings.
Mm.
Like I really enjoyed Cranky Pat's wings. They were solid. All right. Cocktail or beer?
Yeah, I enjoy both. I would say beer, and I would say craft beer, and I would say IPA. Lion's Tail is my go-to in Neenah, and they have some strong beers on tap. I like trying new things, and I like strong IPAs. I like sours as well. Partake in light beer as well. So I'm a beer guy.
Beer guy. Okay. Shop local.
Yeah. It might be an interesting take on that, but I'm going to say the public library, where you don't necessarily shop with money, but what a resource that is. So we have a great one in Neenah. I know good things about Oshkosh Public Library. You're not necessarily spending money, so it might not fit the theme, but a community resource where you can go and grab a book. And I like the community events that take place there too. I spend a fair amount of time in the literacy space, and I'm working on a project in the early literacy space. And how do we highlight and get more people aware of the unbelievable resource that is the public library?
I'm going to agree. I like that answer, and I'll even tell you, like, I think people, if you haven't been to a library in a long time, you're sleeping on it. Like, they have everything. And, like, I didn't know they had video games. Like, you can go get your video games from the library.
Yeah.
Like, that's fantastic. I love a good audiobook.
Yeah.
And they have audiobooks available at the library. I like the fact that you can do digital books or digital books or digital audio books from the library using one of those apps. I use Hoopla, and that is fantastic. I don't think people know, like, you don't know if you don't know. But if you do go, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised by everything. And I think they're more media centers now. So our library / media centers, our public media centers, and what they offer.
Yep. My daughter loves to craft, and they have craft kits there where it makes it easy to grab a pouch, and you have all of the supplies and a short video of how to make that craft. She's all about it. Activities to do, to your point about thinking about it more broadly than a printed book.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
For real? Activity kits?
Yeah.
Now, that's one I didn't know about. That's pretty cool. So, okay. I'm going to add one more word to this. Once again, not on the list. And that word would be diversity.
Yeah, I like it. It's the space that you're in. So I think about it often. I think about diversity of thought. I guide human-centered design and get groups of people to solve community challenges. And one of the things I talk about is making sure that all of the voices are heard, or that the underrepresented voices are heard. And how do we do that? And one of the areas that I teach is around empathy interviews, and that is connecting with those that have those diverse experiences, different lived experience that we have. And how to unpack some of that. So that's what I think it's about. It's about understanding and appreciating and feeling other people's experiences that are different than yours. And when we're creating solutions for broad community challenges, how do we get the folks at the table that maybe aren't invited to the table, or it isn't convenient to get them to the table, or don't trust the table that we're sitting at?
I want to go back to these empathy interviews.
Yeah.
What is that? That sounds fascinating. And I'm not going to lie, I do think that is something that many spaces could use. So what does that involve? What is that?
Yeah. It was a little bit when I talked about listening without judgment. It is holding space for another human being. Is identifying a perspective that you don't know, that you're interested in learning about. It's genuine, open-ended question. It's asking them to tell story. You do some of that in you are exploring what an empathy interview is, and maybe not naming it by that, but it is asking deep, inquisitive questions about their experience, holding space for it, following it up with a why, asking them to explore emotions and feelings, and capturing it without your perspective on it, without your take on it. What you think doesn't matter. So to teach and guide that, we look at who's at the center of the challenge that we're looking to solve, identify those folks, and then I have the workshop participants go out and do that primary research, go talk to people, and do it in a way where they feel comfortable enough to share their truth, and then hold that space up. And then we use that as the foundation to understand what the opportunity is, and then build solution around it. So if you do that on the front end, and you connect with another human on what that is, and really understand their perspective, then you can't argue about who's right or wrong, or what it means, or who's at the center of what you're trying to solve, because you felt that. And that's the energy that you move forward as you move forward with that innovation framework.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. We're going to jump into the next segment. And the next segment is called the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share with us about a hidden gem. Maybe it's something no one knows about, or very few people know about. Maybe it's something everybody knows about, but they don't know the details of it.
Yep.
What is your hidden gem?
So I attended TEDx Oshkosh yesterday
Oh,
at the Grand.
Yeah.
people should know about it. In my opinion, more people should know about it or take interest in it or give it a look. They've done it, I think, annually since 2016, maybe a missing COVID year. But the energy in the Grand Opera yesterday, the event itself, I think there were about a dozen presenters that were up on the red dot sharing on a topic that they were passionate about. And that's what it is about. It's about diverse perspectives. It's about ideas that you want to share more broadly. Bringing community around diverse issues that people are passionate about and chunked into kind of a 15-minute presentation, live presentation. So that's incredibly well done. I would encourage people to kind of take a look and become involved in that, either as a speaker or attending on event day or sponsoring it. It's a gem in the sense that we have it locally here in our community that you can go and hear about people's life work that they've condensed into a 15-minute presentation and pitch.
Facts. Still
Still feeling energy from that day. So that's the one that stands out.
I want to send, as a matter of fact, I'm going to send a big fat shout out to that Kosh X, as I'm going to call it. They actually, I know there were multiple Kosh alums who presented. So that always feels good to be connected with those people. They've got episodes out here, so if you even would like to probably go just a little more in depth than they were probably able to go in that 15 minutes, we've got an episode for a couple of those presenters yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that'll be pretty sweet. I have people have been trying to twist my arm to go do that now for for a little while, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say, nah, I'm good. I'm good, y'all. I don't do well in that whole presenting space.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard, and I think that some of it for me is that person practiced and is up there and is doing their thing. The courage that takes is part of the magic of what makes that day the day.
Oh, yeah, you do, because you've got to have it memorized. You've got to have the whole thing memorized, and there's a whole – I've talked to I just want to send a big fat shout out to Juliet, because Julia definitely presented about audio hearing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to her. I ran into her at an event, and she was explaining to me some of the things that you got to do to prep for that presentation. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Not from Timber. Good. So, awesome. That is a great hidden gem. Okay, now it's time. You know what? We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliet Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
Okay, we're back, and we are back with my new favorite segment of the Kosh, and that segment is known as Story Time. This is an opportunity for our guests just to share a story with us. It does not have to be about anything in particular. They take us wherever they want to go. So, Eden, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about dudes and tacos a little bit.
This sounds exciting to me.
Yeah, yeah, and what that is and kind of how it came to fruition. I was involved in a community work group around solving for men's mental health, and particularly how do we reduce men's suicide? That's a huge issue, a huge challenge, specifically in Northeast Wisconsin. So got a group together to kind of brainstorm and come up with solutions around how might we solve for this? What are innovative ways in which we could solve for this? What we came up with was what we are calling Dudes and Tacos, and it is a men's mental health initiative, and it is around shoulder-to-shoulder connection. So each month we hold events open to everyone, open to all dudes, around kind of a fun activity or a topic of conversation or a guest speaker that is somewhat related to the initiative. And then we offer tacos as well. So it's kind of grown organically into what it is, which is a small group of men meeting each month and a community of men that kind of build each other up. We talk about hard things and we talk about fun things, kind of that mix, and kind of holding space for where people are at to have conversation. And then also we are working on how do we use that to help build skills and provide resources and ensure that folks have the resources that they need to help their brother, to help another person that might be struggling, that might be missing from network, that you aren't seeing out, that you know is going through some tough space. So I think I've learned a ton from it. I'm a huge supporter of it. We're looking at ways in which we can kind of increase energy around that space. And again, it's not around forcing men to get therapy or see a therapist. There's a huge gap in that space, and we didn't feel like putting energy into getting them there was going to be effective. But what would be another way in which we could do that, making folks aware of it, increasing awareness with the community, but providing events and tools and resources for men to help other men as we go through life. As we experience challenge, as we experience hardships. So the story of Dudes and Tacos is, I think, about a year and a half now of monthly events and men coming together and growing community around men's mental health.
Now I'm going to ask a follow-up.
Yeah.
To dig into this, because I'm going to pull something out here.
Yeah.
And that is, what is one of the most, what is the thing that you have seen that has come out of the Dudes and Tacos that you're most proud of? Was there a certain situation that was addressed by the dudes? Was there a topic of vulnerability, or it doesn't even have to be a vulnerable topic. Maybe it was a topic of different types of tacos, whatever it is. Was there something that was talked about that you knew you had something special here, or that it brought somebody up and you could see that there was, and I'm going to use your word, impact?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was, I could talk about me personally, about what it's meant to me. And it was my opportunity to share kind of my mental health challenges and struggles and growth in that space and what it even means, right? My understanding of what self-care and prioritizing self and understanding and dealing with feelings and emotions is. And then having folks around say, wow, that was really meaningful. And I'm also dealing with this. And this is a hard thing that I'm dealing with. So opening space for that conversation and to say, wow, I don't regularly practice this, but I have folks in my life that need me to be able to be a more supportive person. And hear and hold space for that piece of it. So I think it's that. I think that's the impact that I've seen is people wanting to without knowing that they want to be in a position where they can be a support or an advocate for folks in their spaces that are struggling and going through it, and kind of lean into difficult conversation that we otherwise might not have. It's easy to talk about the weather. It's easy to talk about sports. It's more difficult to talk about how relationships are going, or challenges at work, or kids and family and partner challenges that are happening. But when you have that, you have it, and you know it, and you feel it, and it makes the relationship stronger. And I mean, just building a network of other folks who you know can hold space, and you can hold space for, has been the biggest impact that I've realized from my work in that space.
So what's the qualifier to be part of the group? And if Kosh listeners are listening and they're thinking, this is exactly what I need, how do we make that connection?
Yeah. So all dudes are welcome. And it is an initiative through Foundations Health and Wholeness, which provides mental health support and foster care support in the state of Wisconsin, regionally. So if you Google Dudes and Tacos, you will find it. You will see the monthly events, and I would encourage you to kind of find a monthly event and that resonates with you. We've done events in Neenah and Appleton and Green Bay. I would encourage you to kind of take a look. And we are building out kind of what the community around that looks like from a web presence. I would say attend an event. Look for those monthly events and see. Grab a buddy and go, or come by yourself and kind of just experience that piece of it. And it's open to everybody. There's enough tacos for all.
Should be.
Yeah.
Should be. That's there. I think tacos are therapy just on their own.
It's it.
We ain't got to talk about nothing.
And you don't have to talk about anything. Show up and have a taco. Right, we're throwing axes. We're throwing axes next week. I think November 14th is the date, and that's it. Right, like don't come and expect that you have to share all of your feelings about all of the things. Go throw an axe, eat a taco, meet a couple people, and then show up to the next event. And yeah, that's it. It's about building connection in a way that isn't we're going to sit around a circle and share our deepest feelings. Because that's difficult. That's hard. Not everybody's there, and that's not what this is about.
That's most men aren't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what we do? We'll eat some tacos.
We do. Yeah. And then you build that, and you have that informal conversation, and then that shoulder-to-shoulder connection.
That's right.
And then when you're dealing with something, you know how to deal with it.
Okay. Well, now I'm not going to lie. I want to drill down on this a little bit, but I'm not going to. We'll talk off air, because the next thing that I need to know who's making these tacos.
Yeah.
Because this is serious. like there's so many now. If these tacos, because that's going to make a difference in my mind, like how I'm showing up. Like if these tacos happen to be Diablo food truck tacos, then whoa, you guys are bougie.
Yeah.
And those are fantastic tacos. But I'm just asking.
And we switch it up. Depending on what we do.
Okay.
So we might go for a hike. One of the events was a hike in High Cliff, so we weren't able to cater. There are other members of the community that serve tacos that have catered for us, that support the cause, that are pretty fantastic.
Fantastic. All right, I love it. Okay, Kosh listeners, we learned about a new resource. I almost feel like that's the hidden gem. All right. And all right, we know what time it is. Every single time. I love it. And it is time for the topic of the week. This is where our guest picks some topic to talk about. We love It's chosen by the guests 99.9% of the time, and can't wait to see what Eden's topic of the week is. Eden, what do we got? Where are we going?
Yeah, we talked a lot about men's mental health, but I think we can talk more about men's mental health if we didn't. Otherwise, trauma is another area, and I think those two are related.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of work in this space to understand what it even is and what it means, and how those two connect and how they're related. And how we as a community, we as individuals, might be better aware of the impact that trauma has, the traumas that we have as an individual, and what that means and what we do about them. So one of the measures of trauma is the ACEs, Adverse Childhood Effect Score. And I think so not enough people know about what that is, just awareness of what that is, and the effects that has. And then what we do about it in that space, and then how we as a community support those and understand the perspective of those that are dealing with that. So I think that's it, right? Like whether or not, I believe everybody has trauma. I believe we all do, and we either are aware of it and have processed it, or are processing it, or we don't, or we repress it, or we hide it. We do everything in our effort to not talk about it or address it. So I think like you're either in one of those camps or somewhere in the middle. And then I think if you have an awareness of the different kinds of trauma and the definition of what trauma is, that changes your perspective on how other people live and operate and make decisions and struggle and the challenges that they go about. So that has completely changed my perspective on interactions with other human beings.
You mentioned ACEs.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate? What are those? Because that's one of those things. Now, I know a little something about it, but I think it's an indicator that people don't know about it all, and how the research that's been done. Can you share a little bit about that so Oshkosh listeners can understand?
Yeah, sure. And I'll link to it because I am not an expert in this space, but basically a series of 10 or 12 questions based on your childhood. Yes or no. Have you had these experiences? An example would be abuse, verbal or physical abuse as a child. A parent that has abused drugs or alcohol. Those are a couple examples of kind of the yes, no, and then based on your number of yeses of the 10 questions, kind of predict the challenges and the amount of trauma that you have experienced as a child, and then they correlate those two outcomes. And
right, like what is your likelihood in being in certain types of systems, or having law enforcement interactions. And I mean, they tie this number to many, many things that are basically what I would call life outcome indicators.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
for kids that didn't necessarily ask, or that's the environment that they were raised in, right?
Correct.
Right. Like, and I think that's it. That was the biggest aha to me is, there's a way that we can scientifically or a way to measure and assess and understand that the reason that people behave and make decisions are a direct result of, the environment in which they grew up in.
As you're talking about this, particularly because you open the door to not just men's mental health, but trauma, what I can't quit playing in my head right now is hurt people hurt people. And like how this all comes into play, and like we don't even know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes how people react, and you don't understand why this reaction is at a certain way or a certain level, or where these traits, these personality, I don't know if it's fair to call them personality traits, but sometimes just what you're looking at and how much the individual doesn't even understand it happened to them long ago.
That's
and
it.
This is the reaction from what they've experienced.
Yeah. I think right on. I think that's what makes it dangerous and difficult and complex. It's the intergenerational trauma. It's the that's the way that I was raised, and that was my childhood, and now I'm a parent, and I wasn't able to process it, or didn't have the support to get through it, or don't fully understand it. And now that's the way that I behave, and my kids are experiencing that too. The kids that I'm raising or trying to raise are based on the way that I act and behave because of the trauma that I had as a child. So that's the intergenerational aspect of it.
Yeah. How often is it I was raised that way and I think I turned out okay, so there's the assumption that must be the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't tell people how to parent. Me personally, right? Like
Right.
I think you understand that piece of it too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I signed that philosophy myself. Like, I don't think there's a right way to parenting.
Yeah. Yeah. And parenting is a difficult job. Parenting is an incredibly complex, difficult job to do. And especially those that maybe are dealing with their own trauma.
Yes.
And don't have the support in place to help them. So I think it gets back then to, if we want to tie it back to kind of the mental health piece of it, is the self-care, the prioritizing self-care, the self-discovery and self-care, finding time for yourself to get into a place where you can be, where you can show up for other people, including your kids.
You've said self-care several times throughout this episode. Let's go back to that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I feel like self-care is one of these terms that everybody tosses around right now. But I think a lot of people are wondering, what exactly can that look like? Now, I know it's very individualized, but what can self-care look like? And what is the good that comes from self-care?
Yeah, you get to decide what it is, and that's the beauty of it. You get to carve out time and energy for yourself, and find it, and find activity and space for what that looks like. And that looks like different things for different people. For me, I've found that it is having time each day carved out to do whatever I want to do. And sometimes that means sitting by myself in a room, breathing and meditating and doing yoga. Sometimes that means it's a regular routine for me is to go to the YMCA and do, I call it the executive workout. It's the steam room, it's the sauna, and it's the hot tub. But it is knowing, I think also like the night before or when you're planning your week, is you have time to do what you need to do to get into a space to do all of the other things. And I think too often we fall into this routine of get up, I go to work, I care for the people in my family, and maybe there's some time left over for me to do whatever that is. Maybe there's a couple hours where I can watch a ball game at the end of the evening. And I think that it changes that. It says, okay, so writing down your priorities and understanding what you have to do are important. But for me, it was then, okay, well, what are the times within that week that I can dedicate to do the things that I want to do, that I need to do, that give me the energy to do the other priority work, They're the things that I'm committed to do, my commitments. And I think it's just that mindset. It's that going into the next day knowing that you have time and energy carved out to be in a space where you can help support others. And that was one of the things that I learned about empathy as I studied that, is it starts with self-empathy. It starts making sure that your mindset is in a place where you can hold empathy for others. But until you do that, it makes it very difficult to be able to support the people in your life that you want to support. If you don't take care of yourself first, self-care, prioritizing self-care. Here are the things that I need to do to be the best version of myself. And I think oftentimes, I can speak for myself, it was, well, that feels selfish. I'm guilty if I do that. There are other people that need me more than I need myself. And I think if you go down that path for too long, it becomes burnout, and you aren't supporting the people that you want to support in the first place if you don't prioritize that piece.
What didn't I ask that you would like to share at this time?
Just in general, related to self-care, related to the topic.
We're still on the topic. Yep. Yes.
Yeah, I think what I would share is it's a complex topic and I don't have it figured out, but I'm practicing it. I still have challenges every day. Mental health, self-care is a practice. And it changes and evolves, and I don't want to come on to the podcast and suggest, like, if you just do these things, then you live in this perfect space and everything is good. Life and the practice of it remains challenging, and there are tools and skills that you can build that you have in your briefcase or your toolkit. And I would say, like, invest in that and broaden that toolkit, because life still comes at you. Because there are the ups and downs with life. And it's not like if you just do these things, then life is perfect. It is, if you have these tools in your toolkit to go to, even something like breath work and deep breathing as an intro to yoga. I know that when I'm in a space where I'm feeling anxious or challenged, or things aren't going the way that I want to do, I can take 2 minutes and I can pull that out of my toolkit and go for a short walk and do some breathing and come back to it. So it's not like the secret to life is, and this is a perfect life. It is, you're building skills and tools and resources to get to, which allow you to lean into difficult challenges, difficult opportunity space, building relationship, having difficult conversation, holding space for other.
Thank you. Okay, Kosh listeners, it is time. Thank you for spending time with us here in the Kosh, giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for being interested in our community and the people in it, and being able to immerse yourself in these topics. These guests go so hard. Like, we cover so many things, and like, these aren't conversations like you would always get to have with people. And I feel like it is a privilege to be able to just talk about some of these topics and to share it with each other. And I think it makes us better community members, better neighbors, better people. So I want to say thank you for spending your time, your valuable time with us, and being part of these conversations. As you know, we are a work in progress. We've always been a work in progress. We will always be a work in progress. Please, please, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know how we're doing. Let us know how we can be better. Let us know if you'd like to be a guest. Let us know if you got somebody else you would like to be a guest. We take all of that. And that is, you can reach us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Then I've got my ask, and it's a simple ask, and that ask is, please take a moment while you're listening to the Kosh and hit your subscribe button. What this does is this helps our analytics, so more and more people can find out about the Kosh. We think we have something really special here, and we think more people would appreciate the opportunity to be part of these super powerful conversations that we end up having here at the Kosh. So hit subscribe and also leave a review. That super helps the analytics. So, I'm just going to go on and put that out there. All right. And one last thing I'm going to put out there. We are in the holiday season, and I'm not quite sure if there's an interest, but if there is an interest, Kosh listeners, where I can't think of any gift that says I'm super local than having a Kosh t-shirt. If there are people out there in Kosh t-shirts, let me know, and I will try to get a run going for the holiday season, because nothing says local like the Kosh t-shirt. I promise you that. Now, on to what I'm going to refer to as the second favorite segment of the show, and that is, it is shout out time. So, Eden, who do you want to shout out?
Yeah, I'm going to get myself some swag, too. Sign me up for a T-shirt for the Kosh. So shout out to the Kosh.
There we go.
Let's do it. I'll start with my family, my partner, Jenna, my kids, McKenna and Quincy and Paxton. You guys are my people, so shout out to you. My sisters as well. I don't give them enough love. So Jasmine and Avalon, shout out. I appreciate you. I love you both very much. I talked a little bit about some organizations, so I'll give a shout out to that. Certainly Dudes and Tacos through Foundations Health and Wholeness. We'll link to that. CASA of the Fox Cities is doing an amazing work. I celebrated 2 years as being a court-appointed special advocate. I get a lot of energy from that work. You had Leah on Appleton engaged, so shout out to Leah and the folks at CASA of the Fox Cities. Keep doing your thing. Heads Up Fox Cities is an organization as well. Laura and Jen are doing their thing there. Give them a look. Headsupfoxcities.org. Again, kind of playing in that transition age youth, those aging out of the foster care system. Give a shout out to Outagamie County Children, Youth, and Families. I mentioned that Jenna works there as a social worker. They are the front line, and they do incredible work and don't get enough recognition and support from the community in terms of what they do day to day. Give a shout out to Jessica Hazley from That's Deep with Eden and Jess. We worked on a collaboration this year over the course of 10 months, completed 30 episodes of kind of that deep holding story. And she put a ton of time and energy and effort in that. And really was a reason that I collaborated in that. I wouldn't have started that project without her encouragement and support. And we've stopped and we've parted ways from that project itself. But shout out to Jess for the support as part of that. Kyle Treby is a good friend. He was on an episode of That's Deep. I would encourage you to kind of go take a peek there. He shared his recovery journey. And what he's dealing with, and shout out for him for being able to share his story and for him doing his thing. And lastly, to Heidi Dusick, who has a podcast called Ordinary Sherpa, who has been, I refer to her as kind of a personal angel investor and has been a huge supporter in me kind of taking the leap from to building my own consultancy, giving me strength and courage and support and network in that space. Shout out to Heidi Dusick at Ordinary Sherpa.
All right. You came ready.
Yeah. I had a list.
You had a list. You was ready. All right. I appreciate that. Okay. My shout outs. I'm going to send a pre-shout out to the wife, because I talked a bunch of smack about her and her chocolate shopping, and she gonna be mad at me. So I'm just gonna tell you now, baby, I love you. Don't be that mad at me, because I put you on blast. You'll forgive me later. Want to send a shout out to John Nance, my guy. Here's my thing. I came up with this concept, and I think this is gonna be fantastic. And I don't know if this episode's gonna get to air before this, but I thought, my wife loves hosting Thanksgiving. She hosts Thanksgiving, and so my parents come up, my sister come up, and their families, and my daughter comes up, and so it's one good thing about Thanksgiving. Everybody shows up for Thanksgiving. You can't necessarily get everybody there for Christmas, right? So we're gonna show up, and then my friend John Nance, who's this amazing photographer, you were talking about just like some of the most emotionally captivating black and whites I've ever seen. He truly captures emotion. He's going to come and he's going to take family photos, and we're going to break bread. And for him to make time and space for me and my family to do that means a lot. And these are going to be the Christmas gifts. So he's also helping me do my Christmas shopping in advance. So I really, really appreciate that. But I just think this is going to be special. And I just want to send that out there to other Kosh listeners as a concept. If you need somebody who can do amazing photography work like that to truly capture the emotion and sentiment, and in black and white too, it does color, but black and white, you need to get to know John Nance, who actually is a Kosh alum. So you can go find that episode about Mr. Nance. I want to send a shout out to Diverse and Resilient. Yesterday I got an opportunity to go to their mental health summit that they had in Neenah, which was fantastic. I got to see this amazing speaker called Alok, which was just brilliant. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to give anything away about it in a sense, but let's just say it was a mixture of education and comedy and poetry, all interwoven in a way to make us all understand like how some of the stuff that we as humans fret over is kind of ridiculous, and that we are all humans, and we all deserve love. So that was quite the event. All right, and then my last thing that I'm gonna put out here is to Kosh listeners, just so y'all know, Kosh listeners, I'm turning 50 soon, so there will be a 50th something. I kind of know what it might be. I think it's going to involve tacos. You think I'm kidding. You know I'm not kidding. And so, like, if you are interested in being part of Timber's 50th festivities, y'all should give me a holler. You can send me a holler at askthekosh@gmail.com once again. So now we are at the end of the show, and there's only one thing left to do, but you've got 3 options to do it in. And those 3 options are: Eden, you can share with us some parting words of wisdom. Option B is share with us, what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self? Or option C, you can do both.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm excited about Timber's 50th. That's a big deal.
And I don't know if it's a big deal, but I'm going to promise you this. We going to do what we do.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows how I get down, we going to do what we do.
Yeah. I'll try to wrap them into both. I have a 13-year-old, and he's my son, and his name is Quincy. So I think about this regularly. I think about what advice or support or how can I show up for him, knowing that I was at once in his shoes. Life is a gift. Life is precious. Our week started out with a friend of his that he played football with losing his father unexpectedly at the age of 44. And that had me in tears. Someone that I was watching Quincy's football games with regularly. Nothing is promised. Tomorrow isn't promised. So reach out to the folks that you want to reach out to and mend those relationships. Use your day as a gift and also support others that are going through it. And then model that. So we showed up at the visitation on Friday and was able to go and hug and tell them that we loved them and tell them that we supported them. And that was a moment that I had with Quincy where we had some time together to say, hey, this is what we have together, and it's not promised. So let's make the most of it. How do you love on each other? And what does that look like? So I think to your point about, we're all humans and we're all deserving of love, and we can all put energy into the relationships that matter most to us, identify those relationships and walk in that space and hold that space. And then the piece of like the skills that we aren't taught, like what's most important. My daughter asked me that question. It was, Dad, what was the most important thing you learned in school? How do you answer that? Right? Like, so I said, I learned how to be a friend. I learned how to live with kindness and respect. It wasn't a math lesson or a reading lesson necessarily, but those are the skills. What does being a good friend look like? And I don't know if I learned that in school or not, or if that's what I want her to learn in school, right? There's some of that too. And when do we learn those things? So I think it's that. I think it's holding space for others. I think it's understanding people's perspectives, different perspectives, and the empathy stuff that we talked about. Do that each and every day. And I think that gets us closer to whatever that ultimate impact is that we're looking to have in this space.
Facts. That's what I'm going to say. Facts. All right. Thank you for spending time with us. The Kosh.